What would you make if you had to use only ingredients from your cupboard that are shelf stable? That's what I've been thinking about as hurricane season is upon us, and we've had some hurricanes hit us that have caused the power to go out and made us question whether or not the ingredients in our fridges and freezers are still good. So today, with that in mind, I decided to make 3 different recipes that will use only shelf-stable ingredients from my cupboard. I used a lot of canned goods as well, so that way if you were needing to bring these meals on the go, you wouldn't have to worry about glass containers breaking or shattering as you are moving from one place to the next. One of these meals is vegetarian, and the other 2 have the option to be vegetarian if you just leave out the meat. I tried to use ingredients that would be both flavorful and have a lot of nutrition in them. Also, if you're trying to prep these meals in advance in case of an emergency, you could take all of these seasonings that you would need for each of the recipes and put them into a little Ziploc container. That way you have all the seasonings pre-set out and mixed beforehand, and that way you could just grab them and go if you were needing to grab things and leave your house for safety reasons, or if you were even taking these meals on a camping trip. This would be a good way to bring them without having to bring all of your seasoning containers. I started with my first recipe, which is a pan roasted potatoes and veggies with herbs. I went ahead and took my 2 cans of potatoes. You could use fresh potatoes as well, and in fact I would recommend it just because the canned potatoes have a different texture, but that's what I have on hand, and I wanted to use some of these cans up that I have in my cupboard, and sometimes I use the fresh ingredients more often, so this time around I decided I will use as many cans as possible in each of these recipes. I added my potatoes into my skillet and went ahead and let those cook in some oil with the herbs and spices, and then after they had gotten a little bit of a brown crust on the potatoes, I went ahead and added my 2 cans of veggies. I used carrots and peas. In the recipe link below, the lady who created this recipe used just potatoes, but I liked the added color and the added nutrients that having more veggies added to the dish, and this turned out really delicious. The one note I would say is there is no salt listed in the recipe, and I found this recipe definitely needed a little bit of salt, so just add some salt to your taste. Next up is a tuna noodle skillet. We're going to use these egg noodles not only because they cook quickly, but also because they use eggs in them. They have a lot more protein than the average noodle that would just use flour. Next, we're adding in our drained can of tuna, our can of peas and carrots, and a can of cream of mushroom soup. You could use a can of Prego or Alfredo sauce as well, but I used the can of mushroom soup because I really enjoy the mushrooms in it actually. So I mixed everything together and added in my seasonings as well. Now for a little extra pizzazz, you can crumble up some of these crackers on top. I like this because it adds a little extra texture and it just is a really delicious flavor that complements this dish really well. If you don't care for canned tuna, you could use a can of drained chicken as well, or you could just leave it out and make this more of a vegetarian meal. It's completely up to you. This is a delicious meal and one that I enjoy. Next up, we're going to be making a chili mac. We're using these pasta noodles that cook in 3 minutes, which is pretty awesome. If you had something hooked up to your car, like a 1-burner, and you were trying to use the power from your car to cook your meals, this would help save you some of that gas and time with it being hooked up to your car. So then I added in my can of chili, my can of mixed veggies. If you had corn, I think a can of drained corn would work better with this, but I didn't have corn on hand, so I used mixed veggies. And then I also added in a can of fire roasted tomatoes. I went ahead and gave everything a good mix, and then I added in some seasonings as well just to bring the flavor out. I did use a chili that had beans in it. You could use a chili that did not have beans in it, or a vegetarian chili as well would work really good in this dish, but I enjoyed the flavors that this chili had in it. After everything is well mixed and heated through, you can serve just as is. This is a very quick meal to throw together and a really easy, even if you're just needing a fast, easy weeknight meal. It's one that you can have on hand in your cupboard and not have to worry about anything going bad in the fridge or the freezer. I hope you all are staying safe and doing well no matter what the weather is throwing at you right now, and I hope you enjoy these recipes. Thank you for watching. I will see you all in the next one.